Completely broken global progression, monotonous traveling through grim regions, ripped-apart narration, confusing and unfair combat mechanics, lack of emotional connection between characters and the player, corrupted loot and leveling systems, and this fragging stagecoach. But to be fair, there is a few perfectly implemented elements, and in many ways this is a really huge step forward in terms of game design. In fact, I didn't want to release this video. I've postponed it as much as possible. It was hard to force myself to criticize game design mistakes of one of the most talented dev teams. Red Hook gave us the original Darkest Dungeon, truly iconic game. So what's wrong with the sequel? What piece is missing? Which elements do not work as they should? And how can it be fixed? Let's figure it out together. Let's start with the most important thing. I'm pretty sure that if this project was called Darkest Road to Mysterious Mountain, Stagecoach of Maddening Horror, or even Magic School Bus Trip accompanied by original theme, there would be not so many complaints to the game. To tell the truth, this project not bad at all. It has unbalanced elements, way too grindy, but in general it is good. The legacy, the name Darkest Dungeon, that's what ruins it. There is a rational approach in industry, a well-known path to release the sequel, with the same game design as original project, making minor or cosmetic changes and adding more content. But here in sequel they changed almost every system. And yes, we should praise devs for implementing such global changes, cause you need truly boundless courage and self-confidence. Nowadays we don't meet such cases, and only an indie team can go for such approach. Sadly, Darkest Dungeon 2 is just a negative example of why everyone is afraid of this path. When you start changing the game design concept of the project, you risk to break those subtle connections between elements and systems that saturated each other and created a unique gameplay. And today we will try to understand what exactly doesn't work as it should, and why the players controversially accepted this project. Let's go! But first, let's take a look at one of the most recognizable elements of the series. Art direction. With such a brilliant artistic vision, they managed to create an original and multiplying sequel, a truly unique and memorable visual style. Moreover, this project with dignity survived the transition to full-fledged 3D, which is not so easy task. Just remember all game series at the turn of the century. There is even a theory that a successful project released in 2D is doomed to failure in 3D. Just take a look at character models and animations. In general, visually, the sequel is a step forward in comparison to the original game. But what about core gameplay? Oddly enough, it got minimal but crucial changes. There are the same exciting and uncompromising turn-based battles, but all of the systems surrounding it have been changed. First, the characters. Originally, player himself chose character to hire, customized the appearance, equip, gave them names, leveled them up, and after a large number of joint challenges, established the emotional connection with them. Here in sequel, we have, let's call it, templates of the character classes. The group you choose lasts with you only one run, and after that all leveling quirks and character features simply disappear, and the random generator creates another character template. There is no sympathy, affection, not to mention a strong emotional connection between the characters and the player. And this is a huge design loss. It was this connection that made gameplay of the Darkest Dungeon so exciting, and your losses and victories so memorable and rewarding. Here you get soulless dummies, which you will replace after the run. And further, it gets even worse. Global progression is the major design failure of this project, specifically completely cursed Altar of Hope. The fact is that almost all useful combat and in-items, trinkets, character upgrades are unlocked in exchange for the candles, the currency that you get during the run. And it would be okay if these were purely cosmetic improvements, but in order to create a playable character, you need to, let's count, unlock all his skills, get specific trinkets and consumables, choose the right path, like a predefined talent build, and level all this crap. So first, unlocking skills. This is done through visiting shrines in the initial game acts. You should pay attention to this, because if you want to change the composition of your party in the mid and late game, and the skills are locked on a particular character, you have to go back to the beginning, go through these monotonous encounters, simply for the sake of unlocking skills. And occasionally it is not so simple. Some skills are just given to you with a small piece of the plot, and a few will have to be opened through combat encounters with unique game mechanics and staging scenes. And it sounds great until you fail the execution of these encounters simply without clear understanding what exactly you need to do. You basically misunderstood mechanics of the fight. This leads to frustration. You either Google how to beat it or returning over and over again. And the worst part, that the difficulty of these encounters is synthetic. Game just do not explain what you need to do, but after completing them once, there are no challenge left. Unfortunately, this is just the beginning. You get all the skills of a particular character. Then you need to level this character using candles on the altar. After, open his personal trinkets, useful items, which by the way is a complete random. You just spend candles and hope to unlock something useful on the altar of hope. How ironic is that? And only after all this you may be able to use the full potential of a particular character. So what if he doesn't fit into your group comp? Pick another and start all over again. You will need dozens of hours just to farm those candles. Personally, for my gaming experience, to gain access to all gameplay features and fully enjoy what the game has to offer, you have to grind a lot. Once again, this is the main mistake of the Darkest Dungeon game design. A newcomer simply cannot dive in all the variability of the gameplay. It would be justified for 2, 3, well, okay, 10 hours. But no, you need to commit for dozens, maybe even hundreds of hours of the game time. And is there any confidence that after that the game will shine bright anew? Mid-game is a great reference point, specifically the second and third act. With lack of experience, leveling and items, you will wipe almost each run. It's somehow unfair, don't you think? The fact is that the difficulty curve is designed in a such way that the first 10, 20, 30 hours you will only suffer. And the hope for you will be these candles that you take out of each run. After, when you unlock at least half of the stuff on the altar, the game becomes relatively fair, yet still presents a significant challenges. That is the ideal moment for having fun and enjoying the game. But soon, when you have all unlocked, you just run through almost any act without encountering significant resistance. So difficulty curve is broken too. That is why the significant part of the players dropping Darkest Dungeon in the first 10 or 20 hours. And you don't have to blame them for it. On the other side, those who beat the credits due to their skill and persistence, they just grind a lot. In the late game, it turns into a simple execution of overpowered skills, using top-tier consumables and repetition of proven mechanics accompanied by knowledge of the encounters. No skill is needed actually, just maybe a bit of luck, because Iron Jesus can change any encounter dramatically. The thing is that the random generation in here are hiding in shadows. In the original game, we at least can see the skill expected chance to hit. Here we see nothing, just miss. Another RNG-affected system is the affinity, or simply relations between characters. This is innovation, and conceptually it adds an additional stat system that we have to manage in addition to the stress level, itemization and leveling. In fact, all you need for the successful run in terms of character relations is to drink and play cards in every tavern. As a bonuses for a good relationships, the skills of your characters get additional effects and provide synergy in the team fight. But other side is worse. If you have negative relationships, it leads to complete disaster very fast. This run is ruined. But maybe there is a better way of implementation of such system. Affinity should be clearly managed through a particular encounters. There should be some trinkets to help consistently manage it, not just in items. All is not there. They just implemented one more additional system to manage. Just like the other system, character memories. It really looks like it was assigned to some junior designers for testing their skills at job interview. I'm serious. There is no connection to any gameplay element. It's just add plus flat value to the stats. The implementation is as bad as the concept itself. A detached menu screen that has nothing to do with the gameplay. And there's other examples of systems that lacks connections among them in this project. Both original game and the sequel are very deep and saturated with many game systems, which nevertheless must be thoroughly balanced, perfectly calibrated, and so each element can enhance the gameplay contribution of the others due to the synergistic effect. That's where true magic happens. In original Darkest Dungeon, devs did it perfectly. I'd like you to check out my video with a detailed analysis of the original game. Unfortunately, the sequel simply couldn't cope with all the innovations and new systems. They lost that synergy of an exciting gameplay, and that is very sad. However, as before, the audio design and the work of the narrator is still beyond praise. This is a top level of execution. And perhaps in the future we will come back to this project that finally would worth of glory of the original Darkest Dungeon. I wanna thank you very much for watching, and if you liked this video, you know what to do. I'll see you soon. Bye.